Alright, so we are right back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video. In this one, we're going to go over the top 16 for the San Diego celebrations, and this is specifically for the singles. Both lists are out, or both set of lists are out. If you want to go check out the teams list, which is, again, just like the last video I talked about, it's a completely different meta, completely different beast, a lot of different rulings. Blech. But for the singles, it's a little bit more linear and easier to talk through because there's less factors that goes into it. It's literally a little easier to understand the metagame as well. But before I even do that, definitely subscribe if you're new. Like, dislike, all the other stuff. Comment what you think about the meta, what you think about all the lists that we're going to take a look at here. I'm probably going to look at through all of them, and as well as please go check out Eggman's video for this, because this is his Excel sheet. This is all him. He took a lot of time, a lot of work to actually go and make this, and he's been doing that and busting his ass and posting all of that stuff in our Discord under the tournament results channel. And whenever I do see it, you know, I'll put it in there. And of course, if you look at the bottom here, if you do download the spreadsheet through the link that I'm going to post, or through the YouTube video that I'm going to post in the description, all the other celebrations are there as well. So definitely go check his video out. Go thank him. Do all that. This is all him. I'm just using this because it's a lot easier. So, but yeah, all of these have the lists and as well as the video, if there is one. I'm sure within the next week, if there wasn't a video already, there, you know, it's gonna be up, it's gonna be around, you know. But there's a number of things as well that we need to take a look at and actually understand going into the next set, and as well as the expansion, because now we're done with celebrations, right? If you haven't taken a look at my top 32 video that I took Yellow Skillet to, please go take a look at that, or take a listen. You know, it's kind of long as far as the recap. Josh's profile, who is this one here with the red black skill list, which I'll talk about it real quick, is also on my channel as well. And then basically we're gonna have the boosters, the power boosters for the set 5 for all of the Senran leaders, including Chi Lai and Oolong and all those other ones. It's gonna be really good. Like, I think those are a little underestimated, right? And then we have the multicolored cards coming in June, I do believe, in a couple months, and a number of other things, right? So these last few events, including this one, is probably going to be the biggest event that we have, other than Dallas, which, you know, that's PPG. You know, it's probably going to be a pretty good event, probably 200 people or so. I'll still go over it, but this is probably going to be the biggest event, and as well as the most factors in it, right? So we already figured out, well, I wouldn't say figured out, but we already know what the top decks were in the first 2 events, which were Charlotte and as well as Chicago, that had actual set 6 in it, and then this is the last one that actually had set 6 in it. So again, the other factors are, this is 6 rounds. This was 470 people, so again, it's quite a lot. Very, very challenging to top, and as well as not to drop the games. And you know, anybody on this list did really well, and really just honestly, just like, damn, this is good. Like, either they had really good matchups, or they knew exactly what to do to cover most bases. And I think when taking a look at the top 16 leaders, the safest, quote unquote safest, you can't see me, but safest bets when trying to take a deck, not only to go undefeated, but to cover all of the bases that you may or may not have, or basically have answers to. So let me give you an example. The first one is Skillless Goku. So we had 5 in the top 16, and just like the last top 16, I think we had 4 or 5 if we take a look real quick here. So we had 5 in that one, and then 4 in Charlotte. So the reason why this is because there are so many variants that we have, and I'm very, I'm like 90% confident saying that he is probably the best leader out of set 6, and almost within the last couple sets. And the reason why I say that is because he is very versatile. He has a lot of defensive and as well as draw power game, or advantage, and as well as just being overall good. Like, he has a lot of different assets to him, and I think he is the best deck that is fair, right? So whether like, if everything stayed the same from now until like set 8, I think Skillless Goku is probably the best deck that can remain fair. I don't think there's anything that can really make him busted or broken. I think the only thing that can really hurt him is if they change the Android 8 ruling. But I don't think that's really an issue. I think that we have a lot of answers to that. And that's another reason we have, like, if you look at the sideboard set 6 video that I posted for the 1-drop Vegeta, the Mass Saiyan, etc. There's a lot of answers to Skillless Goku, and I don't think he's really gonna go anywhere. I don't think they're really gonna complain about him, right? And then we have 3 Janemba, in which he kind of made a comeback, right? He only had 1 in Chicago, I believe, 1 in Chicago, and then 2 in Charlotte, in which, you know, I personally saw a lot of Janemba, like, around me. I only faced 1 in my 6 rounds, and that was the first round that I went into, and people are really doing pretty well, and kind of like, I'm very interested. I haven't seen all the decks, but I'm very interested in seeing, you know, what their sideboard looks like, because TN really just kind of messes up a lot of the Janemba plays that we want to that they want to do. So I think that's another thing to kind of consider. Like, I'm very surprised that we had 3 in the top, but at the same time, not very surprised, because Janemba still is a pretty oppressive thing in Mill, and really, like, against starter deck Broly, which is a pretty good matchup against starter deck Broly, I will admit, in which, you know, it regulates that, and it regulates a lot of decks that draw a lot. It regulates a lot of Wish leaders as well. If they ran into Super Shenron, really the only thing that they can really do is TN. And defend, right? I mean, or attack, really, and that's really the biggest thing. If you took a look at the streams from the previous events in which, you know, Danny Hype and as well as Danny Win, they went off with Super Shenron with TN against Janemba, and it's just really a bad matchup for them at that point. But I think if they don't do that, if they don't do it in the right way, which makes this quote unquote fair for a lot of decks, this is why this is a really good meta right now. If you mess it up, if you don't secrets right, if you don't draw the right things, like as in the TN and as well as your combo cards for starter deck Broly, then you're kind of shit out of luck, right? And that's what makes it fair, and that's what makes good players and as well as skillful players beat out the other ones, right? And it's not to say that everybody who played here isn't skillful, right? I played a lot of good players over the weekend, and I think, you know, at the same time, it's just like, who's going to misplay first and who's going to have the most favorable matchup and who's going to take advantage of that. And I think that's exactly where the meta is. And with Super Shenron, I will go into that in a different video. I think, yes, we had 2 of him and then 2 of the starter deck Broly. Starter deck Broly didn't top because of Super Shenron, right? And, you know, that's kind of a check by check basis in which I think Super Shenron does have a lot of answers. But again, skillful players like Marcus Cantarsi and as well as David Fujimura can top and as well as win the event by having answers to those answers, like with Tau and Dark Power Mass Saiyan, and as well as other things like the 3-drop Vegeta that I talked about in my side deck video. So there's a lot of factors. When I think with the One Huracan by Henry Do, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, sorry dude, but awesome guy. And he did the Agent Destruction Huracan, and then Blue Dende with Agent Destruction by Russell. My man is crazy. My man's great. He's a great player, but damn, he had 2 practice games before the event, and then he just placed 3rd. Like, okay, cool. I'm telling you, I posted it before. I was like, he said that. He's like, yeah, I just want to play. I wasn't playing anything crazy. You know, I just wanted to pick the deck. It was, you know, it was fun. You know, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Fucking four rounds later, my man is undefeated. So I was like, okay, cool. Please go check out that video. Fun stuff. And then we have 1 Yellow Dende, the lonely one. And I think I would not have been uncomfortable with taking Dende, honestly, to the event. But the fact that Janemba was at 3, or at least topped at 3, really had a good representation by him, or really showed the representation by Janemba. And I don't think I'm really experienced enough to take Yellow Dende and you know, go against Janemba. And I think that's a lot. That's probably the mindset that a lot of people had when considering Yellow Dende as well. And then finally, if we take a look at the entire list here, is that there's 2 things. So 1, well, I guess it's the same thing, but 1, there weren't any yellow leaders actually. Yeah, so no yellow Broly, not at all. And then, but we did have a lot of decks that played yellow. And then with the other thing is that we had no red leaders. So no Pan, unfortunately. Shout out to Devin. No red Gogeta, which was a pick for a lot of people. No Baby, which is crazy. Baby is amazing, but I think it just couldn't keep up with a lot of different things, right? But there were a couple in the top 32. When in considering the top 16, and again, those six rounds, is a little bit difficult. That's why, you know, you have to pick a deck that is oppressive enough and strong enough to cover all bases, but also have answers to its own answers. And I think in those decks that I just mentioned, it didn't really have those. So I think that's what kind of happened over the weekend. It's just if we had maybe a couple more rounds, maybe that'll be a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure, right? There's no telling. And this is why the celebrations are super difficult and as well as so different from the other regionals and as well as events that are going to be coming up and as well as in the past. So I think this list would be completely different if we had 2 more rounds at least, or if it was first day and second day, right? So I don't know. But I do want to say congrats to, you know, Marcus, David, and Russell for the top 3, and then Timothy Lee, or Lee? I don't know. Who knows, for the top 4, so pretty cool. All right, let's go through the decks pretty quickly. Some of these are, you know, things that you've seen already. This is by Carlos, the black-yellow sort of deck going on here. This is pretty similar to what I was thinking of before. I didn't like the sorbet, but if you are going to play something like that, I think the best thing to do is to play the sorbet versus the Dende, and the sorbet is inherently better than the Dende because it's at 5k instead of 4. So I think that's one of the main things to kind of consider. The interesting thing is about the ratios here. 6 of the 2-drop vanillas, 4 of these kind of standard. 4 of the Krillins just to be a little more aggressive, but only 2 Kai. So interesting. I think if you are going to play 4 Krillin, you should play an extra Kai at least, so that way you can capitalize on double strike critical as well as early. And then 2 Cronoa and then 2 Banisher. I would say that maybe he thought he was going to run into more yellow, I guess, and then maybe running into more green Broly. I think that's probably the things he was testing against he didn't really be comfortable with. Otherwise, you know, it's good to have answers in the main board, and some of these things are just easily cited out. I think in the mirror, again, just like I talked in my video, the Massane is better in the main, especially since it covers more things versus Dimension Banisher Fu. I think versus Super Senran, the mirror, etc. I think is a little bit better. And then in the side, Cargo, my man, putting in the mirror tech, just like I was saying before. So probably switching out these for the Cronoas, probably switching out for one of the Krillins. Who knows? But it's a really good card, and it was to draw and KO a vanilla, so that's good. And then 3 more, or 3 of the Whis, so that way you can have answers for the blue mirror and as well as the Super Shenron and any blue leader that takes advantage of that. And then striving to be the best. I mean, I don't know if he probably ran to any of the like barrier or Deadly Defender type things. Maybe it's good against Dende if they are playing a Deadly Defender, but they just come right back. So it's really hard to say. And then 1 Kami, which is interesting because this kind of fills up the board and does a lot of things with their battle cards. And then Mercenary Tau for any hand destruction. 1 Nimbus in the main and 1 in the side. Interesting. Now we have David. So this is green, yellow Broly. Pretty standard from a lot of different things. 3 TN. Making sure to be good on that matchup for Janemba. Ties that Banba, which is probably this one as well as Golemite. Well, I mean, Golemite I've seen quite a bit actually, but Ties that Banba, haven't really seen that too much. People really do rely more on the Tragic Awakening than they do on the Ties that Banba. But I mean, that's just really a tech choice. I think the 2 Supreme Kais and then 1 Champa in the main is interesting to take a look at, and then no Escape Goku. I don't know if he has a really bad matchup against Gogeta BR, but I don't know, maybe. And an extra Cold Bloodlust, 1 Battering Laser, which is probably really good, and then 2 Preemptive in the main, which I don't really agree with. If you're playing green yellow, which you do have a low green yellow account, I guess. You shouldn't play Preemptive, but I guess he probably worked it out. I think if you just charge 2 green and then a yellow later, it's not that big of a deal. And then 1 God Strike Beerus. A lot of interesting tech with the Haru and minus Killy. Now here's Russell's deck. If you haven't taken a look at the video for him or for this deck, I would highly recommend to go and take a look at that. It's in the description in the spreadsheet / Eggman's video. He can probably better explain that deck more than I can. And Richard Zapp, which I think is the pretty much the curator of this deck. Please go take a look at his article, I think, and as well as video. You probably have to look at that up. I don't have the links for that. I'm gonna be real. But I think this is good. The person who got top 8, Josh, who had the red skillets Goku, talked about this deck quite a lot before. And I was experimenting with this a few weeks ago, but I just didn't care about it because I didn't have the secret. It was more for other people. I was just like, whatever. But it became popularity, you know, within the last few weeks and the last couple of weeks, and I can see why. The interesting thing is kind of the choices, I would say, versus the sideboard. I think it's really good to have Midas Killy in the main, the Majin Buu in case you need to have barrier under this Buu or the secret Buu, and then Dangerous Journey to Bulma in case you mill out the secret and you want to put it back so that way you get it back in Union. And those who don't know much about this deck, you use a surprise attack Buu with the Child's Wish, you get the Awakening Evil Buu, and then you use 2 red, which is why you use the Dark Duo Bobbity instead of this one at 4. And then you Union Absorb into the Arcane Absorption Majin Buu. You can pretty much do this to turn 3 or 4? No, turn 2 or 3. I can't just say words today, I guess. And then you just go all out for whatever agents are in the drop or warp. So it's pretty cool. Plus the interaction between a Midas Killy Zone and as well as the secret is pretty interesting because now the secret says you can use it from drop or warp. So that's pretty cool. And then we have Super Dragon Ball, so most likely a turn 2 play. And then by the time he is awakened, he's going to be awakened turn 2. You flip, you get a Dragon Ball? I think it's a Dragon Ball. I don't know. Oh, it is a Desire. Okay, I just wanted to double check. So you get a Desire, probably one of the Child's Wish that you milled out because you don't play any other Desires. And then you use it for free. Well, you don't use it for free, but you just have it for next turn. And then you just defend, use all of the Agent Destruction for combo power, so that way it's in the drop. And then the next turn you have 3 energy, most likely 2 for red, and then Sensu Beans in the side, so you don't really need blue. But you do need a blue for the Ultimate Evil Majin Buu. So that's most likely the next target for the blue energy. So turn 1 for the 1-star, turn 2 for the Super Dragon Ball, and turn 3 is 2 red, 1 blue. Evolve into the secret, play out all your Danger Destruction, use the blue to EX Evolve, and then triple attack twice, with this one being a secondary target if you somehow don't have this in the deck. So very, very cool deck with the Burnish Bonds against the Super Shenron, Dimension Magic in case you need, well, probably this whole package here for more defense, an extra Boo for barrier, extra Bojack in case you need those, because you don't main them in the side. Nope, don't main them in the main. There you go. One more extra Midas Killing Zone and 3 Bark Power for the extra matchups. Okay, now we have David's deck. So fun fact again, my team actually went against his team in the Team Wars. My teammate got bodied by him, so that was pretty funny. I think the most memorable thing is that he played out a super combo in the first game as his last play because he didn't have anything else, and then he used a Isekai Supreme, him being at 2 life, and then he went to 25 double strike with the Master Roshi, and he lost because he can only get to 25, and we were all laughing because that was funny. But that is the type of player that David is, apparently. But if anything, very cool deck. There's another video for this on Scatter Report. Please go take a look at that. Again, they can talk about it more than anything. If you already haven't seen Super Shenron, the whole thing is it's kind of the same, right? It's where you play as many cards as you can, you mill as many cards, you take another turn, and you attack more, right? And then the side is that you have answers to Mafuba and as well for anything that is a big threat, and then Crusher Ball for the Broly, Flying Nimbus in case you go in a mirror match or something similar to that, High Mastery into Pathic Greatness into High Mastery, and just in case you're going against a slow and grindy match, especially skillless Kid Goku, and then TN for the Janemba with the Harmonic Energy verse for the 4-drop Veku that has barrier. Now we have Marcus's, who is the champion, who is the first one. It's a lot of 1-ofs, right? I I don't think I should explain this deck because of the way it's laid out, right? So there's the first thing is one, you play the swap instead of, you know, the Krillins and the blue and all the other stuff, right? And I think this is more consistent, not only for the Higher Mastery for the main, but also just in general, so that way you don't have them mess with anything else, right? It doesn't play any 1-stars, doesn't play anything else. It's just pure draw, in which you abuse the Dragon Radar with the Personal Ambition. 3 is the tech choice, with this being a tech choice, and as well as the, well, Science's Fu is kind of standard, but you know, and then everything else you kind of just draw into, right? There's not much to say about it. You do get the intrepid, right? Out, and you pay 2 yellow, get the Path of Greatness and the High Mastery for the long games, right? And the side has the what should we call it? The Victory Strike with 1 SS exploding with energy Vegeta. I'm guessing your child wish that out because I don't think you can really play it otherwise, right? Yeah, unless you charge the secret, which you don't really want to do. So, okay. And then 1 Harmonic Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta for the Veku, 1 E Supreme Kai. There's a lot of weird stuff, but again, I can't explain this too well because if you go to Shenron's Layers front page, you can just go into the article that he wrote up. I think he pretty much he wrote it. He goes into the deck list, the side, the matchups, all that other stuff. So please go take a look at that. Again, it's a pretty good read, pretty short as well. All right, moving on. So Timothy Ali with the blue skill list. So look at that. I was the first blue skill list that I had gone against. It was a wrap because it was just a little bit better, right? But I think this is still a solid deck with the Gogeta in the main. I'm pretty sure he can side that out if need be, but I don't think he really wanted to or he really needed to. The ratios are pretty much the same as any other vanilla deck, so nothing to talk really about there. And then Hidden Power E Supreme Kai at 1. I don't really agree with it, but I'm sure it worked out for him. And then Shenron into Gogeta. It's pretty standard, I feel like, when considering Gogeta in general in the main, and then just vanilla, just putting everything a part of that, or yeah, a part of that really. And then just Mafuba, Borgos for the Super Shenron, God Strike because you have Senzu Bean, Time Control Klonoa, an extra Power Burst because he's only running 1 with a Whis in the main, and then Tien for the Janemba, 2 Haruharu, no minus, but still can use it against like Slug or something like that. Well, preemptive, you can still use it. An extra Trading Buddy Krillin for the mirror match, most likely, 1 Aid. I guess, cool, man. I actually really like Aid. Like, if I had to chain this, I would change this into Luis, simply because of getting your pieces back between these two. So that way you can have a union fusion target whenever you need it, right? So if it goes to Decker Warp, it's a done deal for that. All right, so this is the only yellow, yellow Dende. There you go. I use words now. This is pretty similar to Danny Hypes, I think. So nothing too much to talk about. The game plan is the same. My Achilles zone is the same for any of the matchups that play Go Bolas or Preemptive. Haruharu, same thing, which is great for that. Time Control Klonoa, which I don't think is really needed in this deck, I guess, because you get to see their hand. And you get to see if they have a Shigesh and you just kill it, I guess. I don't know. But 2 is probably better for here, for this. And then 2 Flying Nimbus against the Super Shenron. And then the Tien for the Janemba, which is probably going to be the hardest matchup. Overall, very standard. I love the deck. Nothing to talk about it. I don't know. I don't play too much, so you know. All right, Green Broly. So pretty similar, I would say. Is this any different? 2 Planet in the main. Interesting. 4 the Paragus, 2 of those. The Secret, of course. I don't know. Did we see the Secret? Yeah, we did see the Secret. Okay. 2 of the Paragus, which is interesting, but I can understand that if you're going to be drawing a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. And then the Super Saiyan Vegeta in the side for the Kid Goku matchups. 2 Battering Laser in case you need to. I mean, honestly, I went counter heavy against any Broly decks, you know. I think Battery Laser is really needed for that. It's just that you don't play too much yellow. Dark Power for the, like, everybody's siding in for that Super Shenron, as you can kind of take a look here, and Janemba, and as well as Tao for any of these things, or any of those type of matchups. Again, the interaction between Dark Power and Tao, pretty sweet. Oh, finally, Josh's deck. So if you haven't taken a look at my deck profile for him, it's very straightforward deck, but at the same time, very good against the mirror, and as well as other decks that just, I don't know, that isn't just ready for it, right? I think this is a solid deck. I don't agree with 2 Krillin, but that's just him. You know, that's just how he be. But he only plays 3 of the 2-drops, and then pretty much everything else kind of focuses on the Chi-Chi into Goku, and then Android 8 on the being the board, and then the Goku over here with the 3-drop Gohans, 3 Champa for the intensified power trunks, and then any other pressure after that, and then 2 more of the Bardoks with 1 in the side. The Toba is probably going to be the best card in your side if you're ever going to be using Kid Goku in the future for the mirror. I think that's probably going to be something that people are going to be picking up on, so if you haven't, please consider that if you're going to be playing vanilla. Go take a look at the video. There's too much to talk about in that rather than me try to talk about his deck when he just already talked about it. Alright, Milnemba with Brandon Perez. So I don't think this is too much different for Reality Bender, which is crazy. But at the same time, I understand a lot of people play 4 Demon Sword. When we look at the other Janembas, we're probably going to see 4 Demon Sword. 4 of the pseudo super combos. 1 Kami makes sense with 1 more on the side, 2 Chrono in the side, 2 Haruharu, 3 Mercenary Tau, so didn't really want to go against that slug matchup, that's for sure. 2 E Supreme Kai, none in the main, which is crazy to me. 2 Raging Spirit, and then 2 of the Borgos. Cool. I'm surprised he doesn't have an extra 1 in the side, but I guess 2 is enough for the striving to be the best, that is. Speaking of, Colby heals. So we have, okay, so yeah. So 4 the Demon Sword, right? 2 the Reality Bender. This is pretty much what I was thinking of. This guy plays the Daily Defender and Vegito. This other guy plays none of that, which is a difference. There you go. So this one for early in case they're more aggressive, and then you can use Dimension Magic or something else to awaken, and then Vegito for later. So that's pretty much it. 1 more Janemba in the side, which is interesting, and then 2 the striving to be the best. 3 of the Psyche Demon. I'm guessing that is for the mirror. The only thing that I am surprised at is 2 Quick Shift Boo in the main. I'm very curious to see if that actually worked out for him, but who knows? And then Time Control Konoha, 2 Dark Power Masain, 1 more Kami, 2 Haruharu, 2 Tau. I think 3 Tau is probably a little bit better, but oh well. I think you don't even need the Deadly Defender, but I don't know. I think Sandy, who topped Euro Championship with Janemba, I think he said the Vegeta is a little bit better anyway, but I don't know. I don't play Janemba. Brian Samuel, shout out to B Samuel. Glad I met you, by the way. I didn't even shout you out in my first other video. If you're watching this, if anybody watching and you know Brian, tell him I said I'm glad I met him. But 2 Champa in the side, or in the main, 1 Godstrike Beerus, which is cool because you play Senzu. And then we have, I actually do like the techiness of this because you are taking advantage of all the green, and the green that you need or that you're using really only requires 1 green to actually be effective, right? So the Godstrike Beerus you can always charge if you don't think you need it, which you probably do. The surprise attack Frieza, if you go against like something that doesn't play battle cards or something that has barrier or whatever it may be, and it's dead, you can just charge that and then play Father Son Kamehameha on the side. Obviously Master Roshi, because you're using Overwhelm quite a lot instead of the Gogeta deck that we saw that had Temporal. And then for 4-star balls, which, you know, if it worked out for him, it worked out. I personally still think that 5 is the best. I don't agree with 6 still. And then 1 Zeno button, so that's probably something that most people didn't see. I think it takes advantage of the Inferno villainy, and then Sense of Being, and as well as God Strike. So pretty cool, pretty cool. I think it's spicy enough for it to be considered as something really awesome. And then 2 Whis for more negates, 1 more Zeno button, Father Son for the Broly, and same thing for Key Barrage for the Broly. 2 Konoha, Haruharu Tien, and then the Demigra in the side. Why? If you're watching this, tell me why. I think it's more of a win more card, yeah, sure. But at the same time, I think in a lot of different situations, it can really create a good tempo swing, if not even the win, honestly. Okay, moving on. So the Fontes Leon, okay, with Milnemba. So similar idea to the guy who was playing Vegeta in the main, but he also plays the Tau in the main, which is pretty cool. 2 Janemba for the Reality Bender, 4 of these and then 3 of these. Probably the ratio that most people would be going against or going with. North Kai or keeping watch instead of the Gohan. So no sparking, but 4 or less, and then 4 of the Whis and 4 of the Dimension. Okay, so we're just going counter heavy, huh? And then group leader Pilaf in the main, 2 Borgos in the main, which is probably pretty smart. 2 the Champa, especially for the mirror, I can understand, with the Psyche Demon in the main. 3 Kami Global Unifier. I think I can agree with this. I think if you take out 1 Whis for a Kami, I think that'd be a little bit better, but that's just me. 2 more Tau for 3 of them. 2 the Haru, which I don't know if I ever agree with Haru in the Janemba, but I don't know. Tien for the side and as well as red and blue leaders. Power receiving over time, and the mirror create absorb to end games. Cool. I actually really like this deck. This list is pretty solid. Only a few more to go, and this one is David Chow with the blue-black Son Goku. And I think the last couple ones are probably Son Goku as well. So similar to the other deck, I don't think there's too many differences other than Aid in the main. This one in the main as well. 2 Pan, 3 Borgos. Yeah, pretty solid overall. I think this is pretty defensive, but also allows to be offensive with all costs and as well as hidden power. And then I think, yeah, Gogeta's in the side, and this is probably what I would do. Honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to say like this is this is all my ideas, but this is probably what I would do. To pour Trunks with the Mass Hand on the side is kind of rough, but I'm sure he worked it out. That one time that you have to warp is probably going to be the time that you need it. And then of course with the Gogeta, you have removal there for 4 energy and as well as 2 draw, so it's pretty good. I think this is probably a good deck to have Zeno button in actually, but that's just also just my opinion. With the God Strike in the side, which a lot of people have been probably using, I think that has won some games as well, so that's pretty cool. And then 2 striving to be the best against Pan and things that are 2 or less. With especially the mirror too. I think that kind of messed me up. I was like, oh yeah, that does affect me with trading Bunny Krillin, and then the 2 drops. So here's Henry's deck. Again, this one has a video, so please go check that one out. This is a very defensive deck, but it leads into having Arcane Absorption, the secret rare, for 6 energy. Doesn't play Objection, but doesn't really need to. You still have Bobbity to play out, and then play all the other ones for 2, except for the Janemba. And you still have attackers as is, and then Huracan draws and defends quite a lot with Phantom Clan Cannon, Setsu Bean, Dimension Magic, and as well as the Hoi super combo. Still really good super combo. Even more defensive with the starting to be the best. Awakening Tao Pan so that we can awaken. Having the Heavenly Demigra for the Green Broly. This for the Janemba, Crisis Crusher for the Kid Goku. Minus Killy Zone, and then Mass Hand for the Kid Goku. Go look at that video. I think this is the last one with Joey Gonzalez's green yellow. So literally the same deck that we saw a few times ago, but Battery Lingers in the main, which I agree with. 4 Global LSs, which I agree with as well. 2 Nimbus Frieza Call, just so you can play any of these 2 or less Frieza Call or Frieza Army targets, especially the Paragus. 3 Godly Destruction Whis, easy to side out and in. For the the Super Shenron. Again, more Super Shenron hate in this, and as well as Green Broly, which he did fully unleashed, and then as well as Dimension Banisher Food, which is not going to be hard to get stuff in your overrealm to remove something, but you also do need to realize that you need Sparking 7 in order to use any or to draw again, basically. So pretty rough to run overrealm in this, but you got to do what you got to do, right? And then Crisis Crusher for the the Kid Goku and Kami, which makes sense because you can just blow up your own thing, you can replace it right after, and you'd be fine. All right, that is it. I talked quite a lot. I spoke a lot about a lot of these things, but this is the last celebrations. This is the last one that we're gonna have set 6 only, and I think all the celebrations told us a lot about the good decks in the meta and how again the skill that is behind those decks. I think Super Shenron is still pretty oppressive. It is pretty annoying, and it is something that needs to be addressed if it continues its reign later on, and more on that on another video. But if you've made it this far, definitely subscribe if you're new, like, dislike, etc. Let me know how do you think these events went, and if you went, and I will see you in the next one.